Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play with AK, featuring me, your host Akukami. In this StarCraft 2 episode, we'll be taking a look at a game I played on ladder. This is going to be a TVZ matchup on Shakuras Plateau. Starting off in the 7 o'clock position is me, spawning as the red Terran player. Meanwhile, my opponent Slon has spawned in the 5 o'clock position as the blue Zerg player. Getting a bit chatty with my opponent as we are in the beginning parts of the matchup. Nothing too exciting, as my opponent will be sending his first overlord in this direction. Will be scouting me out in the correct location. I will actually speed through this a little bit, as like I said, not really much happening in the opening stages of the game. Going to be coming out with that 10 supply depot followed by 12 racks, and in this game I do go for a 13 refinery. Going to be completing the wall off in here at the top of my ramp with a supply depot, and we'll go from there. My opponent is not putting down a hatchery just yet. We'll be waiting for those minerals as he finally sends out his drone. We'll be building that early expansion of his, as Zerg is very well known to build early expansions in the beginning part of the game. Actually sending him out my own SCV scout into this location before I actually spot that his overlord will be coming in this location, immediately redirecting my SCV to this location here, checking out that he does have that expansion building, also a spawning pool, and yeah, heading back out, going to be taking this watchtower, and going to be shooting down this overlord as it tries to get away. Will not be able to get away with it. Didn't take my second gas right away because I was trying to kill this overlord before giving away that information. Going for a factory here, and we'll be following this up with a starport. And before some of you are thinking, no, I do not open with 2-port Banshee, as I'm trying to get away from that strategy, as I'm trying to actually become better as a macroing Terran, and that would just defeat the purpose. Actually sent my SCV scout to do some secondary scouting. Saw that there was still no gas in this location, and still waiting to see what my opponent does. Going to be coming out with my SCV, but these two Zerglings actually kill it, but I send out my Marines to attempt to kill these two Zerglings and manage to get one. Building a tech lab with my factory, swapping it to my starport, going for that cloak research, and my first Banshee will pop. Back at my opponent's base, we'll actually be putting down a Roach Warren in this location with an evolution chamber here and a spine crawler to guard the entrance to the natural, as he's trying to prevent any more scouting and run by. It's going to be slowing this down a little bit as this Banshee is doing some economic harass, actually managing to get Slon to stop mining in this location for a little bit, as these spore crawlers were thrown down as soon as he spotted my Banshee with this overlord, actually trying to be shooting down this Roach Warren, as it was, well, why does he have 2 Roach Warrens? Guess that was a bit of a mistake there. Actually forgetting about this Banshee and that there were spore crawlers in play, leaving it to die, and I should take care of that. However, coming out with some Vikings instead. I was actually going for a Banshee in here, a second Banshee, but deciding to go for a Viking as I did see those spore crawlers, and decided to go overlord hunting and also deny any overlord vision of any drops that might be coming into play in the future. Meanwhile, my opponent is building roaches and some more overlords, as he is forced to bring down another spore crawler in order to deal with this air harass. We'll actually be coming out with this queen in an attempt to drive this Viking away. Going to be using what do you call it? A transfusion on that overlord. However, it does die, as this Viking was able to get one kill, as I do go for an expansion. Going to be going for that a command center, going to be turning it into an orbital, and of course finally moving out into this location. Going to be saturating this location with my SCVs, as I do send my Marines and 1 Hellion out into this location to guard my natural. Meanwhile, patrolling the area with my 2 Vikings, going to be doing some more overlord hunting, scouting for any stray overlords that I might be able to catch, as my opponent finally is beginning to upgrade to layer tech, and finally taking his 2 gas, as well as building a macro hatch in his main. Using roaches to guard the front as he's beginning that creep spread, as I actually bring my 2 Vikings into this location, but forgetting that there were spore crawlers in play, actually manages to kill both of my Vikings with this 1 spore crawler, and yeah, I really should be taking better care of my units. Going to be going for 3rd and 4th gas as I do start building my supply depot wall off. Hello? Okay, anyways, building 2 more factories. I still can't get over this. Why did I do that? Anyways, going to be building a tech lab on my 2nd factory. We'll be following that up with 2 more factories as they finish. And we'll actually forget to do something about that. Well, anyways, going for Thors as I did go for blue flame research, as in this game I do go for a mech composition against Zerg as I speed through this a little bit. As you can see here, I'm not really too great on what I should be building. I don't really know what I should be building, as I do put down an engineering bay just to guard against those mutalisks, as I do realize that if my opponent was going for mutalisks, this would be the timing that he would have to hit around 10-11 minutes. I think it's around 10 or 11 minutes. Mutalisk should be appearing if he did go for mutalisk, but fortunately for me, he does put down a spire and a baneling's nest, but both of them are quite late and will not be building mutalisk for a while. Back at my base, actually building a 3rd command center. We'll be putting it into this location here, I believe. Yes, that location. Sending out my blue flame hellions, going to be taking control of this watchtower and actually try and kill anything that was holding that tower right there. Putting down a scan, trying to take out those creep tumors, as my opponent will actually begin to surround my hellions with his zerglings, as my zerglings do some damage and actually manage to take out quite a significant amount of zerglings, as my hellions were actually caught off guard. Meanwhile, expecting a 3rd in this location, hanging out with my Viking here just to see when that timing will appear, as I do not expect my opponent to put his expansion to that location. Speeding things up a little bit, going to be putting a ring of turrets around my base, still expecting that mutalisk harass. Going to be building my 2 more factories, putting attachments on them, of course, as I do go for armor before weapons upgrade on my mech. Actually turn this into an orbital, and I'm building SCVs from it, trying to saturate this location as much as possible before taking my SCVs and moving to this location, using my Hellion actually to do some scouting and checking for any stray Zergling scouts that might be in the area, as I do send out my Viking and my Hellion here to do some scouting. Finally, my opponent puts down a 3rd hatchery as my Viking passes overhead, trying to do some scouting as to where my opponent's army is. I actually tried to get back into the main to do some secondary scouting, forgetting there were spore crawlers in the area, getting shot down by those spore crawlers. Using my Hellion to confirm that there is indeed a 3rd hatchery in this location, a 4th hatchery, excuse me, in this location. Seeing it, and will be actually mobilizing to try and hit this hatchery in the event that I do engage my opponent's forces. I will actually plan to go into this location, but we will see what happens. Going to be moving out with my 3rd expansion into this location, as I do start moving out with my army, bringing along some of those extra SCVs to repair my mech army, as my army is now O2 in upgrades, and actually going for a Raven and those level 3 armor upgrades for my mech, leading with my Hellions, going to be moving ahead of those slow moving Thors as I slow down a little bit. We'll actually be throwing down a scan just to take out those creep tumors and also to check where my opponent's army is. Going to be advancing forward, again throwing down a scan to be taking out those creep tumors as we are getting near to the big engagement. And wait for it, there it is, there we go, engaging my opponent's army with his I guess that's Magic Box Mutalisks, as they're able to take down Thors. Magic Box Mutalisks are able to take down Thors easily. However, there are too many Thors, and as you see here, and it actually took out that Magic Box. Going to be coming in with my Raven, going to be supporting my army with this auto turret, trying to get as many kills as it possibly can, as I will actually kill off my opponent's current standing army, deciding instead to go for this location, but it does not matter as my opponent realizes he has nothing left and is forced to call the GG. In this game, I decided to open with Cloaked Banshees. However, my harass was not nearly good enough, as my opponent was able to build some Spore Crawlers in time and actually managed to stop my Cloaked Banshee harass. After my failed Banshee harass, I went Overlord hunting with Vikings. This caused my opponent to keep his Overlords near his bases, near Spore Crawlers, and as such could not get that needed scouting. For this TVZ matchup, I decided to go for Mech. Mech has been a favorite playstyle for me over the last couple of weeks, and as I am still testing Mech in all three of my matchups, I am finding that I actually like going this tech path as opposed to Bio. In the final engagement, although both of our armies were maxed, I think I was able to come out on top because of my 0-3 armor upgrades and my repairing SCVs. Because of these two factors, I was able to win this engagement and thus win the game. Well everyone, that about does it for this game. If you like my commentary and videos, please subscribe to my channel. Also thumbs up and like this video. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on another episode of Let's Play with AK.